So you fell at a store or a public place. What are your options? You've probably heard of slip and fall or trip and fall lawsuits. What are your options if you have been injured after falling in someone else's business? First, if you're in Pennsylvania, you have a 2-year statute of limitations to bring suit from the date that you were injured. So from the date you tripped or slipped or fell over something, you have 2 years to decide whether you're going to file suit or not. In most cases, though, it's important to let the store know right away. You want to ask them to preserve footage, to preserve any documents, to preserve perhaps their cleaning logs of when they were doing work or maintenance in the area. So the quicker that you see an attorney, the better, so that they can get out what we call a spoliation letter and ensure that the store is preserving any evidence that will be crucial to your case. If the store fails to preserve that evidence in response to that letter, that can lead to you winning the lawsuit just because of their failure to preserve that evidence. Now, if you believe you have a slip and fall or trip and fall lawsuit, it's important for you to first consider whether the store is at fault in some way for what happened. Just falling in a store doesn't mean that you're responsible. If you tripped over your own 2 feet, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. Just because you were in Walmart when you tripped and fell doesn't mean Walmart owes you money. You've got to show that Walmart did something negligently, or that the building or the landscape was constructed in a negligent way or not maintained. So common examples: a worker left a giant case of waters out in the aisle, and as you were walking down the aisle, you couldn't see it because you turned the corner and you tripped right over it without having seen it in advance. Perhaps a situation where a grocery store has fruit that keeps falling on the ground, and they know this is an issue. People are messy, they leave the fruit, and they just don't ever clean it up. Days go by, the stuff rots, it gets messy. Maybe they clean it once a day, but you're there late in the day and you slip on a bunch of the nasty fruit. In those cases, showing those cleaning logs I talked about or showing that they're not maintaining it can be really important. But again, we've got to show that the store, that the owner or that the landlord is somehow negligent, and that can be a difficult thing to do. The reason you get 2 years is a lot of times your damages, your injuries are not clear up front. Again, merely slipping and falling is not a reason for a lawsuit. It's got to lead to some sort of injuries. I broke a bone, I've had to have surgery, I've had to have physical therapy. Serious injuries can result from tripping and falling. Sometimes people have a bad attitude about trip and fall cases. They think it's just lawyers chasing people for money and it's unfair. But if a store has been negligent in the way that they've maintained the store, if a store has steps that are not up to code, or if the doors don't open correctly, or there's lots of water that's been leaking all over the floor from a pipe, the store should be liable for injuries that result. If you've been injured in an accident, it's important for you to talk to an attorney right away. Call Cornerstone Law Firm for a free consultation if you've had a slip and fall, and we'll be happy to talk to you about your options and figure out whether you have a case that you should bring or not.